Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Soberful podcast. I'm Veronica.
And I'm Chip.
Good to see you, Chip.
Yes, back from a long stint away from the microphone. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll
No.
talk about that because today, this is the last episode of 2024.
Yeah.
It is our Christmas tradition. Chip and I love a Christmas tradition. It is our
Don't we just? Yes.
traditional
Renowned for it. Yeah.
traditional things that changed our lives, where we like to review things that have happened to us, events,
Yeah.
a book we've read, a movie we've seen, an album, all of that kind of stuff. And we'd love to hear from you, the things that stood out for you in 2024. So let us know when this episode is released. You can comment on social media. Where should we start? I think, why don't you update us? Because it has been a while, and this has changed our life this year.
It has been a while, and without doubt, the thing that has most affected me this year has been a real wake-up call that I'm getting older, and the second half of this year has been completely dominated by physicality, difficulties with my physical shape, not shape, but physical self. I've had quite bad sciatica, which really did almost make me bedridden for a couple of weeks. But it's completely changed the way my mobility, the way I can get around. And although that has recently got better, I've now left at the same time they discovered I've got a hip that going to need replacing. And it's absolutely stymied everything. I can't. One of the things I would have loved, and I hope will be able to still love doing, is walking around a city or a town or anywhere with my camera, just in my own little world, and it was my form of meditation in a way. I could just shut myself away, concentrate, and shut out the rest of the world. And that's been denied me for the last, pretty much the second half of this year, and I hate it. I hate this kind of reminder that I am getting older, and that things like this are likely to happen. And a lot of the times I've been to see doctors, they said, they almost sort of said, well, what did you expect? And that really conflicts with what my brain says, which is that, my brain says I'm 26, and it's not that way. And so it's been a bit of a downer, really. I can feel that it's affected my mood throughout this, because I just can't do the things I used to be able to do. I mean, just getting in and out of a car is a pain. It's been a really unfortunate wake up call that I am getting older and my body's going to start doing things like this. So that's been.
Has it been? How have you coped with the pain? Like, has it been really painful?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, and then you get, of course, the dilemma of, gosh, what I'd really like is some really strong drugs to knock me for six on this one. And they did give me they gave me something for a short span for about 4 days, which I don't know. Well, I know there was a little bit of codeine in it. And I've definitely always, without it, my life would have been, very, I can live with that. I'm got it under control, just took it for a limited period of time, but it was, it's painful. And, it's something I'm constantly aware of. It's not something that kind of disappears into the background. But it's got much, much better in the last couple of months. Last month particularly, I've got much more mobile, and I've just come back from France where I was walking about 4K. But I mean, I used to be able to do 8, 9, 10K and not wandering around the city and not really mind. And yeah, it's not gone down well inside my head. Yeah.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've missed you. I'm glad you're back, because I know you just didn't even want to record for a couple of months. You were just like, you couldn't.
Yep.
Were you getting down
everything.
to London and seeing your
I was
clients?
getting down to London, yeah. I was getting down to London, but I mean, as having to sort of change the seating arrangements and just yeah. It was, and I had a couple of weeks I couldn't do anything at all. So, and I don't like being in a position where my clients are worried about my health. That shouldn't
Yes,
be,
yes,
that
yeah,
shouldn't be
yeah,
the dynamic.
yeah,
Much as I love to talk about my health, and it shouldn't really be oh God, I hope you're okay, and yeah. So
yeah,
it's had an impact on me. Yeah.
yeah. It's an exercise in humility, isn't it?
I don't know, it's an exercise in something, but I don't know what it's exercise in. Yeah, acceptance, I suppose. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very aware of investing in my health. I feel like super aware of that, like investing in it now and how aging and all that. Oh God, this is getting really. Ugh.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, has there been anything else that any events that were maybe more positive that impacted you this year?
For me personally, uh, in a way, it's not been a great year. In a way, I mean, my life has continued to go on, and I'm in a happy relationship, and the good things that have happened have kind of happened to people around me, people close to
Right,
me,
right.
and that's that's great for me.
Mm,
My son got a really good gig on a TV show got him employed for most of the year, which will be a big opportunity. It's not been aired yet and won't be aired till about February, but he's got a year's work out of it, and it's been a huge break for him, and he's just he's worked hard for it. My daughter's clean and going to be a year clean soon, so that's been great. And Heidi has become absolutely passionate about pottery and ceramics, and she keeps on coming, and she's getting, in very typical Heidi fashion, she is kind of,
no half measures.
no half measures, trying to master it, trying to learn, and she is learning, and she's getting better, and I know I know her, she'll keep on at it until she's. I mean, I think the stuff she produces already is amazing, but she'll, oh no,
Wow,
no, that's a bit wrong, that's a bit wrong,
wow.
but I mean, she's discovering an artistic side to her that I don't think she ever knew existed, and
Oh, I've always felt like Heidi had that. To be honest, I
uh,
felt like she did like some pottery stuff when we were at
she did,
Focus
yeah,
12,
she
and
did, yeah, she did. She
I've
worked
always
in that.
felt she's sort of had that inclination.
Well, it's really blossoming, and it's great to see. And yeah, so that's been so. The things that have been good for me this year have been really kind of other people around me.
Mm.
And I mean, for me, it's been, God, any extra day on my life is a good day. So,
Oh God, are we
but
there?
but I've done. Yeah, I've had a good year's work. I've had good friendships. Didn't I had to cancel our annual barge trip with on the canals with Seth because of his work.
Mm.
But no, it's been. I mean, I've had. I mean, I love being alive. I love I enjoy things. I have continued, despite I think saying last year that I did not have any more room for any more art. I have managed to continue to purchase art and photographs, and even just today have come and have taken a photograph to the framers, which I bought the other day at an auction. So that continues, and I can still see a couple of spaces where I could hang something. Um, yeah, that continues to consume me. Or I have notifications coming in from about 4 different auction sites that this has become available. You're interested in this particular photographer. One of his prints is coming up. It's like it keeps me happy.
Well, interestingly, my events are sort of similar in that it's things, not things, it's things happening to other people, but the relationship you have with them. So The first one was my mum turned 85 in March, and we are in such a good place. I am so grateful for the work that I have done, that we're in this good place. And I flew home and I took her away to really nice boutique hotel in North Norfolk, apparently one that the Princess of Wales frequents. And we stayed there for 3 nights, and it was beautiful. We were waited on hand and foot, and we went to Sandringham, which is one of our favourite places just to visit. And we just enjoyed each other's company. And I cannot tell you. Well, you know, right? I do know. To that place, and I also admire my mother so much. She's 85. She lives on her own. She has all her marbles, and she is out and about. Last year, I remember last year in December, I called my mum in December. She said, "Oh, I've got another Christmas dinner. I've had 5. I just can't, I'm out, I'm here, I'm at that event." So she's, I admire her. I admire that she has, despite all of the issues that she has that I don't think she realizes she sort of shows up in life, and she's lost a few friends recently. And so, I just feel really gratitude for that relationship. I'll be going home again in Easter with my boys. And I have to treat every visit as like it could be the last visit. I mean, obviously when someone's, at that point.
Yeah.
And then sort of the other end of the spectrum is my darling eldest son has become a teenager. And I was just thinking last night, I'm really kind of noticing it. And last night my youngest son was in a play. He was in Winnie the Pooh. We went to see it. And my eldest son was like, I don't know, he was just sitting around. He wasn't going in. And I was like, are you going to go in and get a seat? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. And I showed him. I'm like, he's like my darling cherub. He's like the loveliest.
Yeah.
And when he turned 13 in September, the British audience will know about this. There's a famous from the 80s. Do you remember Kevin the Teenager? It was a famous and I showed him that clip where it's like, okay, this is the clip. It's a comedy clip. Oh, I can't remember the comedian's name. And
Harry Enfield.
Harry Enfield, that's it. And so he plays Harry the teenager, and he's like 12, and it's like, yes, Mum, hi, how are you, Mum? Do you want a cup of tea? And then the clock strikes midnight, and then he's like, oh, it's annoying. It's so unfair. It's literally what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like getting my head around that. And we went to, because we are the coolest parents in the world, we took them to see Imagine Dragons for his 13th birthday. So he went to a rock concert. And I'm like, I hope you realize how cool we are. So that was fun. And yeah, it's kind of, things always change, right? It's like the aging, people grow up. And I feel like it's happening quite quickly. I can't quite keep up with all the change that's happening, and being middle-aged and having a teenager and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Seth's 30. I mean, for God's, what the hell? What the hell?
That makes me feel old, because I remember him as a little boy playing with cars on the floor of our office.
I know.
Oh my God.
And he's 30.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. My stepdaughter turned 40 this year. That was like, I met her when she was in college.
Right.
Yeah. It's when the young people start getting old, it's like, oh my God. Right? When the people have like always been the youngest, and you think, oh God. So, well, have you had a chance to, and I don't watch TV or anything, but have you had any chance to watch a movie or a show that you've really liked?
We went to the movies once, because it's and like, do you know what? I can't remember what we saw, which is awful. But I mean, it was quite good. But what I have watched is I've rewatched a lot of films that I really, really liked. Old black and white movies, particularly alcohol-related ones like Days of Wine and Roses, The Lost Weekend. Just sort of, I've really seen how they captured I mean, Days of Wine and Roses is if you want to know what living with the two alcoholics is like, it's an absolute classic. And Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, I think. But absolutely brilliant stuff. And I've rewatched them. I used to have them on video and would watch, but I've rewatched them and I just think they did some great stuff. And I'm not a fan of, it takes a lot to get to an independent movie to get to kind of I know the movie we saw was with Kate Blanchett. I can't remember what it was, but she was good. She was good anyway. But
she's never not good. She's just one of those actresses who's good in everything.
No, I think I've not. There's nothing this year that's really stood out, but I definitely I've revisited some really old films and been amazed at how just some of the cinematography is just. I tell you what I absolutely loved was oh gosh, it was a TV show and it was about oh my god, this is awful. I should have got this prepared.
Okay,
Ripley.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god.
Is that the Irish actor?
Yeah, and the cinematography is just incredible. Every single shot was like Orson Welles was renowned for his sort of cinematography, and he had great technicians working with him. But there wasn't a single shot in this. It was about a 7 or 8 episode series that wasn't just freeze it there and it will be absolutely beautiful. And it was.
Oh, I've seen that and I've wondered about that show. I'll watch it now.
Yeah, and it had a sort of. There was just an underlying tension throughout the whole thing that I really. No, that really did blow me away. That one, yeah. Did
you see the Shard Lake TV show? The one based on the books that we like.
Haven't seen it. I think it's on a channel that I haven't got.
Yeah, it's so annoying now. There's always a show that on a channel that you don't subscribe to. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
I watched it and I want to say it was good, but not. I want to say. I would give it like a solid B.
Okay.
Some good things. The actor who plays Shard Lake. So this is a TV show based on Chip mentioned. So when we did this show, I don't know, like I actually think it was pre-COVID.
I think it was too.
Chip mentioned these books that he loved, and they're called the character's called Shard Lake, and it's about this Tudor detective. And I love a good historical novel, so I thought, I'll check that out, and I read them back to back. I loved them too; they're really good. Sadly, the author died this year. Anyway, they made a show out of the first book, and the main character has a hunchback. He has I'm not sure that's probably not the right term. I don't know what the right term is, but the actor playing it has the same condition and was excellent. So, having a character with a disability play the main character, and he was really, really up to the job. He was excellent.
Scoliosis.
Scoliosis, yes. I apologise for not using the correct term. The thing, and I'm just going to say this, the first series is set in a monastery. It's when Henry VIII starts breaking up the monasteries to steal all the loot so he can become head of the English church to marry Anne Boleyn. The monks, they had gone with diverse casting, which is fine. However, I felt the big strength of the books is it follows these main characters who one is disabled, one is black, and one is Jewish. And a lot of it is about, and Tudor in London is not diverse. It was very much about them being the other and navigating this world, being the other and at the margins of society, that made the books very interesting. So they went with a diverse cast. So all the monks were, there was Asian and black, and again, that's fine. But then you lose that part of the story. You lose that part of it, which I felt was a good part of the books. I really liked.
And here's a bit of old age for you. I did see the series. Because now that you started talking about it, I remember. Yeah, I can remember it really clearly.
Back to you.
It's coming back to me really clearly, and there was some. there were some historical inaccuracies that really grated with me. And because, as you said, one of the things I really loved about the books was that he was, he had this disability that was often, that his sidekick was problematic, and there was this sort of a Moor. Who was
Moroccan sort of physician, pharmacist, wasn't he?
Apothecary,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I don't think they captured the kind of essence of those characters in the way that the book did. But no, but I do remember very clearly now watching it, and there you go. There's a bit of old age for you.
So they went with kind of the crime story, which again is fine.
Yeah.
I hope they make another one. I think I feel like the author was writing another book. I don't know if that's going to get released. I really, those are the kind of books I'd reread. They were so good.
Yeah.
And at our age, we've forgotten them all anyway. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
That is like, oh my God, that's happened to me all the time now. Oh, yeah. The memory thing, dear Lord.
Yeah.
It's quite possible we've recorded this episode before and we've completely forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Okay, my other shows, another historical one that was very accurate that I really loved was Masters of Air. And Masters of Air was part of a series that Spielberg and Tom Hanks has done about the Second World War. And Masters of Air was about the Bloody Hundred, which is a Air Force unit that came to England. And what was interesting is it was about when they were based in Norfolk. So they were based where I grew up. Norfolk, where I grew up, was full of, it still has a lot, but was full of air bases. And these young men come over and they are just flying over Germany and bombing. But like things you didn't know, like the reason they have those like flight jackets is there's no heating in the planes and they're all freezing.
Yeah.
And just so many of them died, and the ordinary heroism, it just mind blowing what it was like. And then they did feature an episode on, which again was really interesting, on like there was a unit of black men and how that all of that interaction, like they're coming over fighting for their country, but they were being treated as less than, and that bit was really powerful. And it made me feel, and then at the end, it shows all the ones that survive and then what happens to them. And they just go on and like this one went and got a PhD. This one went and opened a shoe store. This one married his sweetheart and had 6 kids. And it's really moving that they just go back and have these like just ordinary lives.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, okay, I might get slightly political here. I'll dip my toe in. It made me feel, I don't want to get into the election. Let's not go there. But what really irritated me after the US election was all of these college professors cancelled classes on the Wednesday because their students were so distressed and they needed to stay home and cry because it hadn't gone the way that they wanted it to. And I just made me think of this show. And I'm like, what? 70 years ago, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds were getting up in tin cans, freezing their asses off, risking their lives, hoping to make 30 flights, because if you made 30 flights, then you got sent back
home.
Yeah. But and you can't go to a lecture on a Wednesday after election on Shakespeare because you're a bit too upset. I had one of those moments where I'm like, the youth of today, what are we going to do? So,
well, I mean, I think I am getting remarkably concerned about how the word trauma has become completely lost all coinage value. It's like, being late for missing your train is not a trauma, and I think it's beginning to annoy me the way that the word is. There are a lot of sort of words that have become kind of part of the lexicon that they've become overused and misused, and as somebody, I agree with you that that a war experience is a traumatic, extremely traumatic event, and I think it's an overused word nowadays, and think it's.
I think there's a lot about resilience there, and like I would, because I was thinking the same thing just the other day, Chip, and I'm almost not becoming anti-therapy. Of course I believe in therapy, but I feel like the language of therapy has just been diluted into the mass conversation.
Yeah.
In a way that's really unhelpful and almost the opposite. And I someone the other day was saying about, someone who's in therapy for 20 years. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, no, like, go and, like, it's really helpful and you can really, blah, blah, blah. But the point is to end and build resilience and get on with your life and not have somebody that you always have to go to tell you what to do. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm almost like there's something happening where we're too, like, we need to pull our socks up a bit, right? We need to just pull our socks, get our big boy pants on, and get on with it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I agree with you there. I think there's almost I think it's there's a lot of things happening and changing in the world that people are finding difficult. And I did a lecture the other day on the impact of something like smartphones on the way people communicate, the way people deal with their emotions, the way people are losing social skills that people who didn't grow, because this iPhone there are other smartphones available, 17 years old this year. So everybody who's grown up, anybody who's 17 has grown up with that technology. And I think it has had a very. I think it's I love my phone. I'm on it all the bloody time, and I think I get a bit cross when I hear parents say, "Oh, the kids are on the phone all the time." Yeah, you watched yourself. I mean, I'm on the phone a lot. Waiting, when every now and then it'll say you've been on the phone so many hours. I go, "You're kidding me." No, I haven't. And I think there's something very detrimental happening about the way that people are not getting the normal social upbringing, societal upbringing that they used to have, where they're no longer getting. And I think it is, it's difficult. It has its, something like a smartphone, it has its, it's an amazing instrument, but also, you talked about resilience just now. When I was at school, I knew that there were people who didn't like me. Not many. I don't know how many there were. Not many. But I don't have to go home tonight and get into bed and see 200 texts saying, "Oh, you stupid old man." Although I might get 200 after this. But, I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. And I don't think teaching has caught up with trying to address the distress and the difficulties, and also things have changed very, very quickly, and the kind of services that to deal with this kind of haven't caught up with it, and as a result, you do get this kind of overuse of language, misuse of language, because it's not been taught properly. But yeah, I'm get concerned about that, and I hope that teaching will catch up and really give young people the opportunity to learn social skills that are going to be very difficult for them to cope with without.
Yeah, and a lot of that's parenting as well. Not just teaching. Yeah. I agree with you. Well, moving on.
Because
the other TV show that we're going to do an episode on this. Okay, we're going to do an episode on this.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah.
Okay, I also love Slow Horses with Gary Oldman. You would love that.
Classic.
Slow Horses is so good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So good.
So good, yeah. Except I'm beginning to wonder now, but each series they pull off a fantastic, they crack the problem.
Yeah.
And yet they're still in Slough House, and they're not getting promoted up the ranks. They're doing brilliant work, but they don't get promoted. I don't quite understand that.
But I think because there's all these other subplots, isn't there, about River's parentage, and also like how did Gary Oldman's character end up there? Like there's a whole kind of thing from the Cold War. What's interesting about that is the author who wrote those books, those books were at least 10 years old, and he was still had a full-time job because they were sort of very middling. And it was an American publisher got hold of them, and they just took off. And now, he's retired from his job because he's making a lot of money because of the TV rights. But it was a real sort of like, he just loved writing them, and he just thought it was a really interesting idea. And they sort of did all right, but not spectacular. And then, like 10 years into it, he becomes successful. It's a really interesting story. The other show that I got addicted to, so this is my trashy show, and my husband and I were so addicted to this. Sometimes if I'm folding laundry, I'm like, I'll just stick, something on. And I watched the British version of Love is Blind, and we just like binge watched it in 4 days because it was so addictive. Now, I found it's interesting because you can see a lot. I've used a lot of the material with my clients about how people read situations incorrectly and all of that kind of stuff. But like, I got really into Love is Blind. It's like eating a really big McDonald's and then going, ugh. But we couldn't stop watching it. It's so addictive. Like, oh my God, what happens next? Do you know what Love is Blind? Do you know what it is? You don't know what
it is. No. Don't know what it is.
Okay. So what they do is they get like, say 20 men, 20 women, and they're in this like country house, and they have this huge, basically, you go into a cubicle and you can't see the other person. You can only talk to them. So you get to know someone without physically seeing them. And
okay.
You can spend more time with different people, and eventually people make connections. And the whole concept is love blind. And then this is what makes it artificial, because I actually think there was quite a few couples who would have made it, but then they propose and have to get married. And this all happens in about 3 months. Well, one couple is happily married still, really happily married. No, there was other couples that could have made it, but I think that it's just artificial having to get married so quickly and all that kind of stuff. So it all leads to a wedding. But the whole concept is really interesting about not being able to see the person and you're not allowed to describe your appearance. It's just it's simply on personality. So it was that was my addictive show that I got into.
Nice, good idea. I shall look at it.
Interesting concept. But I didn't watch the American one because American, like, I'm just, no offense to Americans, they just hype up the drama and it's just silly.
Yeah.
Okay, music, any albums, any songs?
Gone back to the old ones again. Definitely not enjoying. I can listen to Taylor Swift and things like that, but whenever I'm in the car and I'm I kind of pick music, I'm always putting on old music, Dylan and Tom Waits and people like that. People. I haven't branched out into modern stuff very much at all. I've really stuck in my lane there, and it takes a lot for me to go, oh God, who's that? That's interesting, But I haven't. Yeah, I think I'm. But the more I talk today, the more I realise I'm quite stuck in some old ways. I'm getting quite stuck. They don't make music like they used to, all that. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I've got. Yeah. So yeah, I like Clapton's new album. Meanwhile,
did you listen to Peter Gabriel's new album?
No.
It's incredible.
No.
I just want to tell you, it's incredible. I listened to it because it got such a great review, and I can't remember which paper. And I can't tell you for some reason I read the review. I'm not a Peter Gabriel fan. I wasn't interested. It just grabbed me and I read it. So I downloaded the album. You have to listen to it, Chip. It's a contemplation on life and death, and it's incredible.
Okay.
It really is. It's the kind of I'll tell you how to listen to this album in your car on your own with a good 90 minutes ahead of you, really loudly. It's really
to me
incredible.
Every weekend. Okay.
I think you'd like it. It's genius. So I love that album. The Cure, there is a bit of a curescence, I stole that word, going on with some real love for Robert Smith, who is my person. And they finally released their new album, which is like everyone is heralding as like a massive, return to form and all that kind of stuff. So I loved that. And I don't really get much. I've always got people and kids around me. I I was in the car a couple of weeks ago and I had a good hour and a half, and I just listened. You know, when you just can put it on, listen to the whole thing, and it was really that I really enjoyed that. So that's my album of the year has got to be the Cure album, but I love the Peter Gabriel one. I really love Taylor Swift's new album. We did go and see her in New Orleans, which is a whole event. That was really fun. Wish I'd never taken my kids though. She is incredible. She played for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Like, unbelievable. Like, I've never seen a concert like it. We saw Imagine Dragons and they played for like 90 minutes, no encore. She played for, and it was an incredible show. I'm glad we went to see it. We had really good tickets. It was just too late for my youngest son. By the last hour, he was really struggling. And my youngest son, as we left, was like, I don't really like Taylor Swift, Mum. I'm like, I wish I could have sold your tickets and made like $2,000.
Yeah.
So that was fun. What else? What other albums? The Cure, Taylor Swift. Yeah, that was it for music. I insist that you listen to Peter Gabriel's new album.
Okay, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try.
Absolutely incredible. So I want to tell you about. Let's go on to movies. I only saw this last week actually. They had a film festival where we live, and we went this year. And I love film festivals because you will see something that you just like, we just go to whatever. Like we'll just surprise us. And there was a beautiful movie. I highly recommend it. It's called Sing Sing, and it's a true story. It's about a Sing Sing. It's a maximum security prison in New York. Yeah.
I've seen Sing Sing.
The movie. Or the prison?
No, the prison.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you know what I'm talking. It's a maximum security prison. So these people pretty much have done murders, and it's about a theatre group that was started by one of the prisoners, and they put on plays for the population, and it follows the story of like they're doing a play and they want some new members. And what's incredible about it is about theatre. You have to be vulnerable to be able to act. So you've got these gang members, murderers, whatever, and it's about the process of making the art and their internal struggle with being vulnerable and the risks that they have to take to be vulnerable to do the art. I just want to tell you, it's incredible. And so you know a bit of their stories and what have you, and how it returns them to their humanity. And then at the end, the main guy is a incredible actor. I forget his name, but all of the other actors were ex-prison mates playing themselves.
Wow!
And they were all incredible, and it stayed with me for days. I just thought about it for days. It just really incredible film about the power of art, vulnerability, masculinity.
Yeah.
And most of these men were just never had a chance. Most of them were black. It just ended up in gangs and this and that, and did things that they all came to regret and are all doing 20 to 30 years because of it. It was really, really incredible. That was definitely, I think, the movie of the year for me. And also, because I was thinking about this, also, I can't bloody remember.
Yeah, there's. I mean, the thing is that I mean, we read a lot. I've read some good books this year.
Tell me books.
My best books this year have been one about an Antarctic explorer called Shackleton, who never actually made it to the Antarctic, but he did this incredible rescue mission and got all his men back from the journey, even though his boat was crushed in the ice. And it just is such a story of unbelievable conditions, sort of having to sleep practically in water and just very primitive. And the way this guy never gives up and eventually manages to get a rescue mission. He goes off with two other people and they do a kind of climb that nobody's ever done before, and they come across a remote whaling station, and they go back and they pick up everybody and the whole crew. And although he didn't succeed in getting to the Antarctic, the South Pole, it was just such a great story, and that was good. And I also liked The Surgeon of Crowthorne, which is about it's about the making of the Oxford English Dictionary and the two people significantly involved in doing it. And one of them was a guy who was permanently locked up in an insane asylum, but obviously had some sort of neurodiversity, and he was obsessed with words and things. And it's just the creation. I found that that I really liked. In fact, I'm just about to finish it, and I'm really enjoyed that. Yeah. So, what I haven't read this year is any self-help books at all. Stayed well clear. Anything there. Yeah.
I had to go through my Kindle list, and I went through my Kindle list, and then I realized I do this all the time now. I buy books, forget about them, and don't read them. And I downloaded all these books on my Kindle, and I'm like, oh God, I haven't read that one. And then I was like, have I read that one? What's that one? So I don't think I read a book. I haven't read about self-help books. I did read a really good book by Leonard Sachs on raising boys, the 5 biggest challenges to raising boys into men, which was really interesting. I really liked him. The book I really liked was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarrow, which is my favorite genre, which is YA dystopian fiction. And this was, I'm just going to say, it just had dragons in it. It had dragons in it, and it was a bit racy. You
like dragons, don't you? You like dragons, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I like fantasy. My husband always says you're the perfect boy mom. Like the other thing, my youngest son, who's really into Star Wars, he wanted to watch all of the Star Wars, like all 9 films, like so we could watch them in order. And I'm like, yeah, I'm well up for that. So I love all that stuff. I love sci-fi. I love fantasy. I love all of that. My husband's the same. I love zombies. I don't know why. I love it.
Never seen Star Wars movie, never seen a Star Trek movie, never seen one. And I hope it remains that way. Yeah.
I just remembered to actually a film I did see in the cinema that I do love, because I love this series, is the latest Planet of the Apes one. I love that series. And I think it's because, I'll tell you why, because I'm a Gen X kid and I grew up in the 80s and I had a lot of time on my own watching TV. And I think those were the movies, like the Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes, the Christopher Reeve Superman, and the original Star. They were those, we only had 3 channels. Those were the things that were on, and I watched them. Star Trek. I think I just grew up with them, and that's what I just loved watching. So I did love the latest Planet of the Apes. I love those films. I just think they're so interesting, and I think it's because I love the original ones.
Oh, and I've just remembered that I went to the premiere of my son's movie at an independent film festival. And so that was
What's the movie called?
10 Swords in the Moon. And I don't know whether you can see it.
10 Swords and the Moon. Okay.
Yeah. But it was really strange watching a movie with him in it. He was the lead. He was in every single scene.
Was that weird?
And it was definitely good, because by halfway through the movie, I was into this. I mean, it was a typical little independent movie, quite French in its style. I just sort of forgot that it was him. Yeah, I was more interested. Yeah, so I was more interested in what was happening to the character. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was obviously a big moment. Yeah.
That must be funny. So
yeah.
Well, I think we cut. Have we missed anything on your list?
No.
I did it.
Bored every rigid with our ideas of what are good, and everybody's opinion's different. And some people think, "Oh my God, I couldn't stand that." And yeah.
My favorite thing to do that I've really got into this year. This is like so rock and roll. I did it all this weekend. A jigsaw puzzle and listening to podcasts. Because my husband, it's football season, so my husband's watching football, and I'm like, brilliant. I've got a jigsaw puzzle, and I listen to real variety. I listen to a podcast nearly every day now. So I went through all of the political ones, kind of deconstructing the election and what happened. And I listened, like, if you looked at my podcast list, you would have no idea. Like, I listen to right-wing ones, left-wing ones, middle ones. I'm interested in all of the ideas and feedback. So I do that. Like, that's my favorite thing to do. A good jigsaw puzzle and a few podcasts, and I'm happy, which is like
my father loved jigsaws. He absolutely loved jigsaw. He's always doing a jigsaw. He would have loved to be able to do that with and shut out the world with headphones. He would have loved that. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it really relaxing. It's how I
Yeah.
relax and just kind of, I find it really relaxing. Okay, so traditionally, Chip and his wife Heidi do not celebrate Christmas anyway. They ignore it. I go all in. Our tree will be going up in November. We are
can't.
I know. It's because it's Thanksgiving. It's because it's Thanksgiving next week, and you have to have your Christmas tree up for Thanksgiving. So my tree will be up. Yeah. I've got my Christmas jumper organised. I've got we're all in on Christmas. So Chip and Heidi have anti-Christmas. They just have like a regular day and nothing resembling Christmas dinner. What are you having for Christmas dinner this year?
We have discussed it because it's become quite an issue. We might go back to the baked potato, but I think it'll probably be what Heidi calls her bottom of the fridge stews, where she just the
fridge stew.
She just sort of grabs whatever's in the fridge, throws it all together, and produces a really nice veggie stew. And it's all homegrown and very great, and we eat bloody healthily actually, because I don't. Heidi grows all the vegetables with our neighbour, and between them, we hardly buy any vegetables at all. And she'll throw together a stew. But Christmas dinner, we absolutely enjoy being as rebellious as possible at Christmas, and not doing anything at all. Hate it.
So don't send Chip a Christmas card because he chucks it in the bin. I've seen them. He will read it and then he'll just put it in the bin. So don't send him a card.
No, waste of time.
Don't send him a card. Don't wish him Happy Christmas. He will growl at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard in England. It's hard in England because Christmas is beyond relentless in England.
Oh, I mean, the supermarkets were Christmased up 2 weeks ago. It's like, for God's sake, I get so sick of the kind of the way that there's a marketing event planned all the time. You go from Valentine's, you go from New Year's Day, New Year, then you go to Valentine's Day, then it's Easter.
In between that, January is all health and fitness. It's all lose weight, detox.
Dry January,
yeah. Valentine's, Mother's Day,
Easter.
Yeah, I know.
Then the summer holidays. Then it's
Halloween.
God, Jesus. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You are turning into
there are in this little village. There's some young people who moved into the village. Quite a few young couples have moved into the village, and so there are actually young people in the village now. And we made sure we turned the lights out, shut the windows, and were not available for whatever the hell you do on Halloween.
Well, we wish you a very peaceful season of the year, whatever you do, whatever religion you are. Hopefully we will be back in 2025. Health will be improving. We'll have some more episodes for you. We'd love to know what changed your life this year. Please share that with us on social media. And take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.